Welcome back to an incredibly packed episode of This Week in Canada. My name is Roberto Wakerow Cruz. Thank you so much for joining me on this red hot election season. Oh my God, if you thought it was hot outside, just wait till you check your Twitter feed. I mean, holy hell, what's going on? But before we get started, let's give a big thanks, a big round of applause to our sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark is the one and only VPN that you need and the one that I use and that you should too. For a limited time only, and it's almost up. I'm not going to lie to you anymore. It's almost up. The VPN deal is almost gone. Get 81% off of Surfshark. It's only $250 a month for unlimited devices. Surf the web the way that you want to. Do whatever you want. Visit Thailand's internet. Visit Brazil's internet. Go listen to bossa nova on Brazilian internet. Go look at pictures of sushi on Japanese internet. There's so much that you could do with Surfshark for a limited time. Go give it some love, give it some attention, and let's just get right into the episode because, oh my God, it has been one of the craziest weeks in such a long time. We're going to get into some of the manipulated media stuff that the Trudeau Liberals have been up to, blatantly lying. I would call it fake news. I don't know what you would call it. A lot of fake news out there being spread by the party that's really concerned about fake news. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. And then we're going to get into some of the Afghanistan stuff, which is developing right now as we're recording this video. A little bit more explosions going on in Kabul. Very, very sad. But before we get into the heavy stuff, let's start with just a bit of propaganda, I'm going to call it. Let's just call it propaganda. Let's call the Trudeau Liberals propagandists, right? And let's say that this is their propaganda that they're throwing out there for just the masses to consume, but we're not falling for it anymore. So what happened is Justin Trudeau's deputy prime minister, her name's Christianity Freeland. She is also the finance minister, so a woman of many hats, very... some would say talented, others would say horrible at her job. I don't know which camp I fall into. You can take a guess if you'd like. She tweeted a video that was manipulated, is a word I'm going to use. Let's roll the clip here. And you tell me if something seems a little edited or, like it's trying to get across a certain message that maybe spins the truth in a way that isn't exactly there. Let's roll the clip.
Would you be prepared to allow provinces to experiment with real healthcare reform, including the provision of private, for-profit, and non-profit healthcare options inside of universal coverage?
Yes. Now I'll elaborate a little bit more. We can't have just one old model that is increasingly becoming inefficient, and we have to find public-private synergies, and that capital will come in to drive efficiencies. I've run on this for several years now.
Well, as you can see there, that is a video of Erin O'Toole during an interview in July 15th, 2020 during his leadership campaign, where he says that he wants to privatize healthcare. What in the world is going on? That's not really what happened. Here's another quick clip. We'll just roll it for a second of Christianity Freeland telling this crowd in Toronto while she's campaigning that Erin O'Toole, can you believe that? He wants to privatize healthcare? Let's roll that real quick.
Would have provided the support to individuals and to businesses that we did.
And who comes to the rescue to tell us that this is baloney is actually Twitter. Twitter.com. I mean, look, everybody likes to think that Twitter is against them. I know I do. I've seen many of my friends been shadow banned by the platform. I believe that there is some political agenda there. But when something's blatantly false and clearly poorly edited, they're going to step in and say something. So this video got flagged as manipulated media by Twitter, which is hilarious because, as I was saying earlier, this is the party that's so concerned about truth and hate speech on the internet. I mean, it doesn't fall into hate speech, right? But say I'm like a voter, right? And I'm just at home. I'm just kind of looking around, and then I see this video. Hey, the deputy prime minister is saying that Erin O'Toole wants to privatize healthcare. Well, I hate that guy. That's what I could think. I hate that man. He's trying to take away my medicine. My mother's diabetic. Erin O'Toole wants to get rid of her, wants her to lose her toes to gangrene or something awful. I hate him. That's exactly what I'm saying, is what they're doing. Of course, no comment from Stephen Guilbeault on all of this. Trudeau's censorship czar. kind of hard to say. It's fake news, big time fake news. Erin O'Toole coming out and saying, look, I didn't say that. The full clip is him saying that, the provinces, sometimes when things get overwhelmed, like in Quebec or Saskatchewan or Alberta, you might go get a private MRI. And that alleviates pressure from the public system. And he said unequivocally that Canada must remain a country with universal health care. It is basically a sacred cow in Canada. You can't really criticize it. Look, we all pretend like it's amazing. This is my take now. I don't know if anybody's been to a Canadian doctor or an ER recently. It's an awful experience. It takes sometimes 2 days. Sometimes you'll go and break your leg and you'll be in an ER for 2 days. Or in my case, if you get a real bad cut when climbing a fence and you need a tetanus shot, you'll have to wait 16 hours for a tetanus booster. Even though it's like 3 a.m., I guess there's no doctors. Nobody can give you a shot. I could do it myself. I ended up going to a private clinic, by the way. I mean, that's perfectly allowed to do. As Justin Trudeau did when he got his shot. He went to a Rexall, got his COVID vaccines, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. The next topic that I kind of want to go into, and sorry for the rant there, I'll try to wrap this one up pretty quick. I still have half the episode, is the deal with Afghanistan. So let's start off with something funny. This is a very difficult situation to make funny. But okay, think of the Taliban. The Taliban that's been around for like 20 years. Or maybe longer. Yeah, longer, since like the late 80s. The Taliban, the one, the Taliban. Think of them and think of 3 words that you would use to describe the Taliban. I would say terrorists, evil, bearded. I mean, they have beards. Armed, that's 4 words. Religious extremists. I mean, that's, I guess, another 2 words. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I would not use the word that Minister of Women's Equality, Gender Equality, the Minister of Gender Equality used. So let's roll that clip right now.
I want to take this opportunity to speak to our brothers, the Taliban. We call on you to ensure the safe and secure passage of any individual.
So that was your Minister of Gender Equality, Maryam Monsef, calling the Taliban brothers. So this is the thing. If I were to go up to random people on the street and be like, hey, what do you think the Minister of Gender Equality called the Taliban? You know the Taliban, right? The rapists that pillage and subjugate women and don't let them go to school. What do you think she said about them? Oh, that they're bad? No. The contrary, that they're her brothers. Now, of course, Monsef tried to explain this by saying, oh, it's a cultural context thing. I personally don't know which culture she's talking about. I'm sure maybe it's a Muslim thing she's saying. Personally, when I think you're speaking to a crowd of mostly non-Muslims, like in Canada, a country that is largely not familiar with the terminology that you would use to address fellow Muslims, I don't think I would use the word brothers. It carries a pretty different connotation here. But then, this is the other thing too. Let's pull up this tweet on the screen. I thought this was very insightful. It was a tweet. It was later a column in the Toronto Sun, and here it is now. And I recommend everybody read this. It is by Zara Soltani for the Toronto Sun. It says, as a Canadian who moved to this country as an Afghan refugee, I want to be very clear. There is no cultural context in which calling the Taliban brothers is acceptable. No duh, right? You would think. Words carry meaning, and meanings imply moral positions. So this is kind of my take on that. I mean, I'm no Muslim. I'm a very Christian guy, but, I have no problem with Muslims. That if you are a Muslim, I would refrain from you calling them your brothers, the Taliban, that is. Because it kind of legitimate. Isn't that the whole argument is that, oh, the Taliban, they're not real Muslims. They're like evil. They don't represent Islam, right? Isn't that the whole argument? So calling them your brother, that's basically calling them your friend, unless you hate your brother. Which could happen, I guess. The whole thing about this is insane is because she's still the minister. Justin Trudeau went up later on and said, you know what? She said what she said. She made her position clear. It was a position that it still doesn't really make sense to a lot of people. I mean, when you really think about it, Don Cherry, all he asked was, or he was just telling people to wear a poppy. And this woman, this supposedly intelligent woman that's supposed to be leading Canada, is calling the Taliban her brothers and is still at her job. I mean, talk about lowering the bar. It's on the ground. The bar is on the ground at this point. Anyway, all of this has led to probably one of the most disastrous rollouts of a campaign that I could ever imagine. I was speaking with Nico. He says it's the worst that he's seen since the 2017 Tories. David Cameron, during his rollout, you know what happened there? They still won, but it was a horrible campaign. This, I would think, is worse. I don't really know much about it. I can't imagine that the Liberals thought the day before launching the campaign, that we're now 11 or 12 days in, that the campaign would have gone this south so quickly. The momentum is all on the Conservative side. We've seen this in the polling, which even today, let's pull up yesterday's poll compared to today's poll and see that the Conservatives have taken actually a slight lead. Even more telling, I think, is that if you look at the poll among the youth vote, 18 to I think 34, let's put it up on the screen here, we see that the Conservatives are not far behind from the Liberals. The NDP, of course, have the furthest ahead lead. That's always the case. College students love to vote for just the dumbest people around. Also, they don't tend to actually vote. They answer polls, but this isn't going to reflect in the polls. We all know that. The Conservatives are right on the Liberals' trail. Older people tend to vote Conservative. So what does this all mean? It means that I have to apologize to Erin O'Toole so far, because I would have thought that this campaign was going to be a sure thing for Justin Trudeau. So far, the momentum is all on Erin O'Toole's side. Erin O'Toole has lots to roll with. His media presence has been pretty spot on. I like what he's doing. He's coming off as a very reasonable, kind of mild-mannered guy with answers and solutions. And you know what? Yeah, sure, he might be Trudeau light, but it is a different approach. It is slightly more left than Conservatives have been in the past, okay? We can all admit that. But perhaps it's the guy that we need right now. I don't know if that's the case. It's something I've been thinking about, though, because how are you supposed to win over seats? How are you supposed to become prime minister without seats in Ontario? Unfortunately, this is the case. And how are you supposed to win Ontario without seeming like a bit of a moderate? Okay, that's really all. I'm cautiously optimistic that O'Toole is going to keep the momentum up. Justin Trudeau's a vicious campaigner, and he's pretty damn good at what he does, as much as we all hate it. You know what I mean? He's really good at playing up this big Canada unity stuff, but I think the act has worn thin. Knocking on ceramic. Anyway, let me know what you think. This has been a pretty long episode. It's been a lot of news. If you want to keep up with the election coverage, go ahead and check us out at the Post Millennial. It's at Post Millennial on Twitter. Check me out on Twitter. I'm tweeting clips every day of some election highlights at, put it on the screen, Robertopedia. It's like Roberto in Wikipedia. Thank you. Go and look at the links. There's links right underneath it. Go check out Surfshark for a limited time only. It's probably the last week, really. Get 81% off of Surfshark. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Roberto Wakerow Cruz, and I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Goodbye. Hi, guys. Just forgot to mention something. Make sure you go to the links below and subscribe to our Rumble account. It's just like the YouTube, but with a little more creative freedom. All our content's there, and we're going to start uploading there every week. So go ahead, check that out. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.